Hey, everybody, I'm Madalyn Sklar, host of the Social ROI Chat. We had an amazing time today. I'm here with our special guest, Ross Brand. Hey, Ross, how are you?
Hey, Madeline, thanks so much for having me on the post show.
Yeah, well, it's a little meta today because we are having a live stream talking about live streaming. So this will be a lot of fun, right?
Yeah, it's a live stream inside a live stream or something like that.
Yeah, I was tweeting earlier beginning of the chat. I'm trying to remember who it was that was we were kind of talking about, like, periscoping a periscope and or periscoping a meerkat or something funny, and I was like, well, I actually one time did a meerkat broadcast from the local zoo in front of the meerkats, like, for real.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Because I could, when Meerkat was new, and I was like, oh, they're the Meerkats. Why don't I go in front of them and make a live stream about them, on Meerkat? So, yeah, we're being a little meta today with that. So, you know, shout out for all the meta stuff that goes on because it's so much fun. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself? I mean, I know you as basically the king of live streaming. You are always live streaming. I see your name everywhere, Ross. If it's live streaming, it's you, or if it's you, is live streaming. I mean, you're just so synonymous with it. So why don't you tell everybody a bit about yourself?
Okay, I could get used to the term king. I'm looking around for a crown right now. I don't know that I have one, but I have headphones. We'll go with that.
Okay, that
Some
works.
people say I always have headphones on, but actually only when I'm live streaming usually, or maybe if I'm listening to music. Anyway, I have a background in radio and was doing other things, and then found Blab, and wasn't really going to live stream. Was just going to kind of follow what people were doing and promote them and share what they were doing. And of course, I eventually got the bug and started live streaming. And since then, I've kind of made up for lost time. The past 2 years or 2.5 years, I've been live streaming a ton. Hosted live stream stars every Monday night, pretty much, I guess, for a little over 2 years. And then I've been hosting a show called Livestream Deals monthly and doing daily updates on Alexa and on podcast, covering what's going on in live streaming news, recommended shows, things like that, and some coaching and consulting. And yeah, live streaming's kind of become who I am. I didn't expect that. Like I said, when I started, I just enjoyed what people were doing and was planning on watching it. And I guess I've come full circle. And when you think about it, I guess I'm back in broadcasting again, but a little bit more on the sort of entrepreneurial side of it compared to working a full-time job as talent or as a producer or something like that.
I love it. I think this is great. You definitely have a radio voice. I
Oh,
love that.
thanks.
You definitely got that DJ voice. And so live streaming just seems so natural for you, right?
Well, part of it is, right, the talk part of it, because most live stream shows, especially when we started out on Blab, I mean, basically everybody was doing a talk show. And so basically it was the same thing as talk radio. So it was very natural for me. It was an easy fit. The part that wasn't natural was the webcam part. I think I had used webcam maybe once or twice my entire life when I did a couple of Google Plus Hangout things. And it's taken me time to get used to, and I'm still not 100% consistent at it, to look at the camera and that kind of thing. I still do move around like I'm doing a radio broadcast and nobody can see me, but I think I'm getting a little bit better at that. My lighting's coming along. I have a little bit of a background. So yeah, I mean, it was kind of almost a voice medium for me for a long time, and I still love doing voice stuff, which is why I'm kind of going all in on the flash briefings. For I don't want to say the name of, because it'll set off people's machines if they're listening, but it's on an Amazon Echo or Dot or whatever. You get the idea.
Yeah.
Those voice activated devices, and so I'm enjoying producing content for that and voicing content for podcasts and stuff like that. But live streaming is a whole different thing, and I love it because of the live audience, and that's what makes it different from doing radio. It makes it different from TV. It makes everything else seem a little bit less now that you get used to doing things in front of a live audience, having that chat, having that feedback, having that interactivity. There's nothing that really compares to it, and it's a really unique medium. And people, I guess, are still in the process of figuring out how to use it, right? Is it going to be,
Right.
is it going to be the main event, or is it going to be more of an appetizer or a dessert, or, is it going to be used for promoting something else, or is it going to be the event in and of itself for how a lot of businesses and brands and big media companies, how will they decide to use live streaming?
Exactly. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about tips for successful live streaming. You've been doing this for a while. You definitely, know a lot about it. So I feel like you are the best person to share tips with us today. And so during the chat, the social ROI chat, as you know, that's just an hour that just packs a punch, where we just tweet like maniacs. It was.
I feel like I ran a marathon. I'm sweating.
I know. I mean, that's a lot of tweeting. We have such a vibrant community. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, they're just so amazing.
Oh, it's awesome. I learned so much from reading people's tweets. I realized things that I left out that I should have mentioned, things that I had never thought of, things that I want to try. It was wonderful. It was great exchange, great questions.
Yeah.
Really is a strong community and a lot of very thoughtful people participating in the discussion.
Yeah, we really do. We really do have that. But you really shared amazing insight. So I want to go through some of these questions and have you give us, a little bit more of an expanded thought on it. So let's go ahead and dive into this. Question number 1, what does the future of live streaming look like?
There's no easy answer to this question, obviously, as with anything looking into the future. I see some basic divides, right? One basic divide is I think more people are going to start using it as just another way to communicate with people, right? Let's hang out and get a bunch of people together and just chat with each other, right? Eventually, you'll be able to bring in 5, 6, 7, 8 people on all on mobile using an app. Maybe there are apps that already can bring in multiple people, and for them, live streaming, whether it's done publicly or it's done privately, is just really more about another way to get people together and share information and entertain each other and chat and be friends and catch up and discuss whatever their areas of interest are. So that's very casual and it's informal. And some other people will use it just to share family moments, like, grab a cell phone and live stream singing happy birthday to a family member, or, a kid's baseball game or something like that. So I think more people are going to adopt it on that level, right? And so you're going to see a lot more casual use of live streaming, whereas, it started mainly with marketers, and you could say it was sort of in the middle, right? It wasn't big media, fancy productions, but it certainly had a sort of a professional gloss to what people were trying to do with it, right? So I think you're going to see more people just using it for fun and using it to communicate as just another way. And I think, we're being kind of being monitored by video everywhere we go anyway, right? So
Right.
Eventually it's just going to be the most normal thing, I think, to have a phone not only in your hand, but to have the video running and be chatting with people at all different times. And I'm sure eventually we'll be doing it without the phone, right? There'll just be some sort of little chip or something, right?
Yeah.
So that's one thing, is the divide between the casual live streamer. And then I think on the other side, people who are doing it for business rather, and especially those businesses with budgets and big marketing budgets and bigger media, are going to push towards the professional side of it, right? And go for higher quality video, go for better talent, go for a little more production. What's happening kind of concurrently, though, with that is that the tools are getting easier for people to use, and the learning curve is getting it's just getting easier, right? It's getting, the barrier to entry is getting lower. So on one hand, there's a desire to professionalize, which may mean investing more money in promotion and development and talent and whatever. At the same time, the ability for more businesses to use live streaming and more individuals to build their brand with live streaming, it's just going to get easier and easier. I mean, tools like Be Live, I mean, pretty much anybody could learn to use Be Live in 20 minutes and be ready to go and start hosting a show, right? And before Be Live, we really didn't have the ability to change shots and put comments on the screen and add lower thirds and all that stuff, unless you invested in a software package like a Wirecaster or an OBS. OBS isn't really an investment of money, but it's an investment of time. There's a certain level of complexity. There's a level of learning. So I think these things there's going to be more tools that make it easier for people to go live. And I think those using it for business and for entertainment, and when I say entertainment, I mean more like, TV and that kind of thing, are going to be pushing the production towards the professional side. And then a lot more people are going to be using it for casual conversation. So then the real question comes, does live streaming turn out to be the main course, or is it the appetizer and dessert? In other words, is live streaming become a form of entertainment in and of itself? Does it replace TV, or does it become there's radio, there's TV, there's satellite, there's live streaming, there's cable, right? Does it become a main venue for where people go to watch shows, or is it more of a utility, more of a promotional vehicle, more of a behind the scenes preview, promo, a little taste of what's going on kind of thing, where you give bonus content and you encourage people to tune in later and that kind of thing? So which way is live streaming going to go? That is a big question, and I can't pretend that I have an answer to that. But I think that's what's to be determined, right?
Yeah, I think, live streaming is hot right now. I think for those that are not jumping into this are missing out, because, we're right at that place where it's not quite mainstream yet. Not everyone's doing it. But if you jump in, you can really get known in your industry, because it still has that newness to it. I mean, live streaming's been around a long time. I was live streaming at music events like 10 years ago. But the technology wasn't that great yet. Whereas now you whip out your phone, you tap a button, you're live streaming, and the quality is really good. So I think is something to start embracing. And Facebook is saying that is going down this path where they're saying it's going to be all video. I can't really comprehend Facebook being just video, but they're saying that in less than 5 years it's going to be an all video platform. So I think it'll be interesting, don't you think, like how that's going to all pan out?
Yeah, I mean, we've I'm sure you've seen it, and I've seen Cisco's done these different surveys where, they've talked about 80%, 85% of US domestic internet traffic will be searching for video, looking for video, going to video sites and playing videos and so forth. So that's projected by 2019. That's next year, right? So whether we get to that point or not, certainly video's playing a bigger and bigger part of what people do. Even video that isn't live but is almost live, like recording a video for an Instagram story, or recording a video reply on Twitter, or a video post on Twitter or Instagram. It's almost live, right? You're recording it and you're basically posting it. I know people do fancy things with editing and stuff, but for a lot of people, it's almost live, right? So I think learning how to communicate, whether video becomes where live streaming goes exactly, we don't know, but it's definitely here to stay. And learning to use video tools and to communicate in video and to present yourself and your business and through video, that the value of knowing how to do that is only going to increase over time.
Absolutely. We got a couple of comments on here I'm going to share. I
Sure.
don't know if you can see these, Ross. So Jim Katzman is here, and he says live streaming is today's equivalent of the cell phone, which has become everyday tech few people would have imagined 20 years ago or less, which is so true. Eddie Garrison is here, and Eddie's like, man, Twitter chat, now a live stream. Ross is everywhere. But he also says it's bound to happen. Look at YouTube, which is now the second largest search engine in the world. People want more video content. Like everything is video. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is. And I think with YouTube, a lot of the searching is still like how to, right? If I got to figure out how to do something, I search for a YouTube video to teach me how to do that. I think the question with live streaming is, will people show up at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday night to watch a certain show or not? Because the video on demand seems to still be where a lot of the search is going towards. But I think it's just a matter of time and how people use it.
Right. I totally agree. So with question number 2, let's kind of switch gears and talk about some strategies. So what are some simple strategies for adding live streaming into your content marketing mix?
Well, as I mentioned in the chat, in the Twitter chat, one of the ways is to live stream about content you've just produced. So if you've written a lengthy blog post on a topic, you could just go ahead and live stream about that topic as well. It gives you a chance to interact with readers of your blog. It gives you a chance to catch the attention of new people who might not have visited your blog or website yet. So that's one way to add it to your content mix. Another way is talk about the news in your industry, what issues are hot. Talk about what questions or issues people are having related to your industry is another great way to bring it into your marketing mix, and use it to build relationships, because whether you're talking about your own products or services, whether you're talking about the larger industry or community where your business is, or just talking about some subject you're passionate about, as people learn about who you are and what your products and services are, when they have a need for those products and services, if they've built a relationship with you as a viewer, as somebody commenting on your shows, maybe they've been a guest on your show, maybe you've carried the discussion offline even, you're going to be on top of mind when they need that product or service that you have. So I think it's not always what you're talking about, is the relationships you build. But I think it doesn't require you to have an hour show or have a show every day or anything like that. There's just so many different opportunities to go live that it's hard to pin it down to one or two things that people can do. But certainly you can amplify content you've already created. You can go live to talk about some other activities that's going on related to your business or your industry, whether it's, a sale at one of your stores. You could go live to talk about your area. If you live near a beach, take a walk on the beach and talk about who you are and what you like to do. Talk about why you love living near the beach. There's just an endless number of possibilities, right? I mean, it would be out of place to do a blog post about the beach in a blog that's all, content related to, sort of a narrow niche in a business or something. But it's not out of the realm of what's acceptable when it comes to live streaming, right? People don't define live streams as having necessarily to be closely tied to the business. So there's so many ways to integrate live streaming into your marketing mix.
Yeah. And I think people should experiment. This after chat that we're doing right now started off as an experiment. I first did it on my Twitter Smarter chat. I thought, how about I bring the guest on after the chat to do a live stream? So we go from tweeting where nobody sees us. It feels more like we're texting each other. And
Right.
now we're on video. The people from the chat, the participants can now watch us on video. They can actively participate. They can ask questions in real time. And it just became this experiment that turned out great. People loved it. And I kept doing it week after week. And so eventually I added it for the social ROI chat as well. I asked the team at Managed Flitter, like, hey, I've been doing this with great success over at my other chat. Why don't we incorporate this? So we've been doing this for over a year now, and the response is great. It's fun that now we continue the conversation. We have this video. This video is available for replay. We can download it and put it on YouTube. There's so much repurposing we can do with all this content. So I'm just a big fan of that. I'm just a fan of experimenting to see what works and how you can add this to your marketing mix.
And it really is another example of something kind of meta, because we're talking about we've talked about live streaming as something that, you know, comes before or after the main event, right? The main event's the Twitter chat, but here we are going live afterwards to reach people in another way, to build the relationship, to attract some new people who might not have been part of the chat, to learn about the chat. And then we're also, it's about amplifying content. Like, one of the ways to live stream is, we just did a Twitter chat. Now let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation. As you said, people can hear us laughing. We can hear us, you know, it gives a whole new dimension, right? It adds a third dimension, or whatever you want to call it, to the Twitter chat, and people get to know who we are, and they get to see sort of nuances in our answers and discussion that might not have come across in text.
Exactly. And you know what's interesting about this, Ross? When I first started the live stream, I initially did it because I would have people say, hey, I can't make the Twitter chat at this time, like the time of day that I'm doing it, but they could come on to it later. So I thought, well, maybe the live stream can be for those who can't come during the Twitter Smarter chat or during the social ROI chat, but they could come an hour later when we're hosting the after chat. So I first did that as the experiment, but what was interesting is not only was I getting people who couldn't attend the chat live, but then I was getting participants from the chat, and they saw it as a way to continue the conversation. And it's like, oh, that's really what this is more about. Like, while it's great for people who can't come live to the Twitter chat, really, we're just continuing the conversation for everyone. Whether you were on the chat or not, come join us for this live stream after chat. It's great if you're live, because you can interact with us live. If you can't come live and you're watching the replay, you've got great content to watch, but you can still interact by tagging us in the comments, and we'll both get notified, and we can still have a conversation, even though it's later after this live stream. I just think there's just so much value in live streaming and different ways of utilizing it. I'm starting to see more Twitter chat hosts experimenting with live streaming. Yeah. So I think we'll see more of it.
Live streaming while you host the Twitter chat would be insane.
I've tried it. It is too hard. It is too hard. Now, I will say this, though. Like, I was just in San Francisco a few weeks ago for Marketo's big Marketing Nation Summit. And then I was at Social Media Marketing World 2 months ago. When I'm at these conferences and I happen to be there on a day that I do my Twitter chats, instead of hosting the after chat afterwards, like I normally do, because you're there, I'm here, so it makes sense to do it like this. When I'm there in person, I make sure my guest is someone who's also at the conference, and I actually do live stream the chat, because it makes no sense to do an after chat because we're both there. So why not have us interact live, like the way I did this a few weeks ago. And it's really a fun way to do it, but it's a lot of work. It's actually hard because you're trying to multitask a little too much. But we're basically, my guest and I are sitting next to each other, and we've got our laptops, and we're doing the Twitter chat, but I'll also ask the questions out loud because we have the camera on us. And I'm trying to make this fun and very interactive for those watching the live stream, but multitasking, participating in the chat, running it, and having a live stream in front of you.
Crazy.
It is crazy, but it's fun. And
Yeah.
I like to try different things. So my stance on it is like, why not? I'm not going to do that every week because it's too hard. But if I'm at an event and my guest is there with me, let's have fun with it and just go crazy. Right.
And I think, it lends itself just in general to what I think, and this is what I did when I started live streaming. And I think it's a great way for people to add it to their marketing mix, is to do interviews, interview people in your industry, and interview your employees, interview your customers. I mean, nothing makes a better testimonial than, a customer who's been happy with your product or service, and you interview them live. And of course you pre-select somebody who's, got a good story and can tell it nicely and whatever. But I do think interviews is really a great way to do storytelling. And it's a great way to make connections within your industry. It's a great way for you to kind of trigger engagement, because a conversation, helps lead to more conversation, right? So people are often more likely to enter things in the chat. They're more likely to call in or drop in their opinions and their comments and all that. So I think if you're kind of stumped and you're new to live streaming, you're like, I don't know if I want to just pick up a phone and go live, or I don't know if I want to host a solo show. I think I think interviewing is a great skill to develop for whatever you do, right?
Right.
But it's also a way where all the pressure isn't on you, and you're setting up other people to be the star of the show. So you're building relationships, and they get to experience, what it's like to work with you in a sense for that half an hour or that hour. So I think that's perhaps the best way to integrate live streaming into a marketing mix. It's certainly not the only way, and it's certainly not the only good way. There's plenty of different ways. But when you think about, think about people that might be difficult to get a hold of. Maybe think about people you'd like to work with or collaborate with on something. Think about an event maybe where you'd like to speak or whatever. Having somebody on from that company or who represents that event or whatever is a great way to start building relationships. And they might not return a phone call, that's a networking phone call, but they might return an invitation to, come on a show and promote their product or their service or their event or what have you. So I think it's a great way to build your name and build your network.
I think so too. I think it's great. And Eddie Garrison says that video gives you the opportunity to generate more content from other mediums for your brand, like what we're talking about here. Just so much positive things you can do here, right?
Yeah.
I feel like we could talk all day. It's already the top of the hour. Like, this is a conversation that can just keep on going. Do you have time for like just one more quick question, or do you need to go?
Sure. Since I'm not a lawyer, let's skip the legal one.
Oh yeah. No, you know which one I really like the best? Question number 5. What are the benefits of unscheduled live streams, and how do they compare to the scheduled ones? I thought that was an interesting thing to talk about.
Well, I was very big on scheduled, and I don't know if you know Akina Finch. She does a lot of live streaming, and she said, let's do an unscheduled live stream. And we did one, and I was amazed at how many people who might not have otherwise joined that live stream joined just because, wow, look, these two are live and they're talking, and let's see what they're talking about, and let's catch it. I think there are strong advantages to going live in a scheduled program, and strong advantages to going live spontaneously. And I think ideally you would do some of both, right? So ideally, maybe you have a weekly or a monthly show, and that is at a certain time and day, and people know when it is and when to tune in. And there's a lot of reasons beyond how many people view it or how big your audience is or whatever. There's advantages. It shows you as being professional. It shows that you deliver on sort of a promise, right? It's good branding. It shows that you're serious. If live streaming is an important part of your marketing mix or important part of what you do, it shows you're serious about it, particularly when you're starting out. It lets people know that you're committing to doing a show, right? You have a time, you have a day. Maybe you start to formulate a schedule. Maybe you start to list the guests that are coming up. That also helps you book other guests because they know when they can check out your show and they can see you have other guests booked. So they say that this is a serious show, and not serious as in not funny or not humorous, right? Or but serious in terms of you've made a commitment to this, right? So I think there's a lot to be said for a professional approach and for people knowing where and when to find you. But the advantage of going live spontaneously is it does take advantage of the fear of missing out. And when you're only doing scheduled live streams, people can kind of come to take that for granted, right? They can look at the guest and the topic and say, no, I'm not that interested in that. I'll catch them next week. Or they can just say like, oh yeah, I'd love to catch that show, but I don't really feel like it today, so I'll get it next time. It's on every week at the same time. If I don't get this one, there'll be another one and another one and another one. Going live spontaneously takes that away because there's that, why is this person going live now, right? Is there breaking news? Are they doing something they've never done before? Is this a guest they could only get at this time? There's a sense that there's got to be something that they're missing out on, right? And you want to sort of be part of that discussion. And since it's not a scheduled show, will there be a replay? Will I miss out on something that's an important conversation by not being part of it? So ideally, I think you mix the two together, right? You have something that's stable and that shows your commitment to showing up and being part of this medium, and then something that says, I'm gonna take advantage of what's special about live, and that is I don't have to have a schedule, right? And I can jump on breaking news from my industry. I can talk about a hot topic when I want to, or I can just go live because I come across something and I want to share it with people, right? Something interesting and exciting, something exciting in my town, or, a beautiful scene, or, something that might be newsworthy, and I'm the only one there with a camera, and I'm going to capture some video of it and show it live. And, if that's done with some discretion and everything else, it can be really powerful. So there's no right or wrong answer on this, but I think probably a mix of things is good, but it all depends on what you're doing and what platform you're using, right? Like, I don't know about having scheduled live streams on a platform like Periscope, right? Like I would think, yeah, you can, and showing up at a certain time is going to help you build a certain audience, but there's a certain something about, just going live with your cell phone spontaneously versus a structured show, which is more likely to be from a desktop and have a specific time and day and have guests and promotion and things like that. So it's really a lot of trial and error at this point. There's no right or wrong. It's what works for you and what works for your business and what works for your personality even. I mean, I think everybody's got to try it both ways and see what works for them.
I totally agree with you 100%. This is so great, Ross. Thank you so much for coming on the chat today and then the after chat and sharing your knowledge. I know a lot of people got a lot out of it. I know some of them were talking about how they were taking notes. So thank you for being so generous with your time. What is the best way for people to get in touch with you?
It's livestreamuniverse.com is the website, and it's at the letter I, and then my name, Ross Brand, on Twitter. Either of those are great ways to get in touch with me.
Okay, definitely recommend Twitter, Ross Brand, for sure. Check out his website, check out everything, because this guy is great.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This was a blast, and it's just such a great community. I can't wait to go back and read more of the tweets. I know there's a few that I didn't get to, and just absorb some of the great knowledge that people were sharing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, Ross. Appreciate it. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll be back next week again with another awesome guest and another awesome chat. So until then, I'll see you out on Twitter. Take care. Bye.